Welcome to my channel, Weston Talks. Today, I'm going to explain the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender. Stephen Spender is a modern English poet and is also an essayist. In this poem, Stephen Spender talks about the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. This poem talks about the poor condition of the slum children studying in an elementary school. And these children are deprived of all privileges which are very much accessible to the elite society. The future of these slum children is bleak and it is limited. The poet in this poem tries to bring out the difference between the underprivileged and the privileged class. Stephen Spender demands equal opportunities for education of these poor people and the underprivileged. Let us read the first stanza of the poem. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed-down head, the paper-seeming boy with red eyes, the stunted, unlucky hair of twisted bones, reciting a father's Nile disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game, in 3 rooms other than this. In this stanza, the poet talks about the condition of the children in the classroom, and he begins with the literary device of repetition, far, far, to indicate great distance. Gusty here means energy or strength. The poet wants to say that the faces of these children lacks this energy or strength or this liveliness because they are underprivileged and they are depressed. Their world is limited and bleak. They are compared to rootless weeds. Rootless weeds is an unwanted plant, and these plants are useless. Just like these rootless weeds, these children of the slum are also unwanted by the higher class of the society or the rich people of the society. The hair torn round their pallor means as these children do not comb their hair, it is scattered all over their face, and their face look pale as they have no ray of hope for the future. There is also a tall girl sitting in the classroom with her head down because this girl may be physically and emotionally exhausted because of poverty. And there is also a paper-seeming boy with red eyes. This boy is compared to a pepper because he is so lean and thin like a pepper because of lack of food, because of hunger. And because of hunger, his eyes look like that of a rat, always searching for food. The stunted boy here means underdeveloped. This boy is underdeveloped because of lack of nutrition, because of lack of food. And the poet says that this boy is an unlucky hare. It is an irony here because a hare is usually someone who inherits his father's wealth or richness. But this boy, instead of inheriting his father's wealth or richness, he is inheriting his father's disease. That means his father is suffering from a disease of twisted bones. And as this is a genetic disease, it is being transmitted to his son. So this boy is inheriting his father's disease and he is reciting his lesson from his desk. And the poet says that at back of the dim class means as the class does not have proper light, it was a bit dark, and there was a young boy who is sweet and young sitting at the back who is unnoticed. And this boy is dreaming about squirrel's game. Means he is dreaming about the squirrel playing their games in the 3 rooms. And he is lost in this imaginary world. And he is not interested in what is going on inside the class. The literary device used in the first stanza of the poem is repetition, use of far to indicate great distance. Simile is also used. Children are compared with rootless weeds. Then there is a metaphor. A boy is compared to a pepper as he is thin. Now let us read the second stanza of the poem. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's hat, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belt, flowery, Tyrolese valley, open-handed map awarding the world its wall. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their wall, where all their futures painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, caves, and stars of words. The poet in this stanza talks about the classroom. On sharp cream walls means the walls of this classroom has not been repainted for a long time and this color has now faded and it has turned into a sharp creamy color and it is looking unpleasant. And on these walls of this classroom hangs the pictures and images that were given as donations by some rich people to the school. So we know that this school runs on donations and these donators has not bothered to check the progress of the school in a long time. The pictures include Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities. Shakespeare's head here represents the civilized and literate world outside the slum. Cloudless at dawn is a picture of a clear sky which is devoid of pollution, which is in contrast to the silt lit sky of the slum. Civilized dome here refers to the rich, progressive and civilized world, which is again a contrast to the slum wall. It also has the picture of the beautiful Tyrolese Valley of Austria. This Tyrolese Valley is filled with flowers and bells of the church. Here, this Tyrolese Valley is also a contrast to the dirty and filthy wall of the slum. There is also a map hanging on the wall. Open-handed map awarding the wall its wall. Open-handed map here refers to the map that is drawn and outlined by the rich and powerful people. Awarding the wall its wall means we know that God has made this wall and it is a map in itself. But the powerful and rich people, they draw and outline their own map and therefore presenting their own wall to the greater wall. So here is a contrasting picture of two walls. One is the wall of the haves and the other is the wall of the have-nots. It is an irony that an elementary school classroom in Islam has the pictures of Shakespeare's and the maps, and the poet feels that these donators, they pretend to be generous to the children of this slum, but in reality these pictures and images has no meaning to these children. The children will never be able to see a cloudless sky, or they will never be able to see the civilized dome structures, or they will never be able to experience the beautiful Tyrolese Valley because they are condemned to live in this slum amidst the garbage. So the children of the slum, they get to know of this world outside from the maps and pictures, and yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their wall, which means the world that they see from the windows of their classroom is their surrounding area, and that is their wall, and that is their reality, which is a contrast to the pictures hanging on the wall. And the future of these children is painted with a fog. Painted with a fog here refers to the future of these children, which is dark and uncertain, and it is blurred by hopelessness. And these children lives in a narrow street sealed in with a lit sky. Narrow street here refers to the place where these children lives, which is the slum area, which is dirty and filthy. And lit sky here refers to the dark sky or dark future, which is an image of the future of the children. And these children are far, far away from the rivers, caves and stars of watch. Stars of watch here refers to education. So the poet wants to say that these children, they live in a narrow street and they are far away from the rivers, from the natural landscapes, and they are far away from education. The literary device that is used in the second stanza is metaphor. Walls are described to be dull as sour cream. The other metaphor is the future of the kids is described as limited. There is also the literary use of assonance, the repetition of vowel sound E in the words belt, flowery, Tyrolese Valley. Then there is also the use of the literary device allusion, reference to well-known person or place. For example, Shakespeare's head, Tyrolese Valley. Then there is also the literary device of repetition that is being used in the second stanza, far, which is being repeated. Now, let's read the third stanza. Surely, Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love, tempting them to steal. For lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones, and spectacles of steel, with mended glass, like bottle beads on stones. All of the time and space are foggy slum. So, blot their maps with slums as big as doom. The poet begins the third stanza by saying, Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example. Shakespeare is wicked because Shakespeare here represents the higher class or the educated society, which the slum children are not. And these slum children, cannot enter into that society or has no place in that society. Therefore, Shakespeare is wicked for showing these children a false dream or a false hope. The map is a bad example because this map do not have any meaning to these children and they cannot visit any of those places that is mentioned on this map. And this map also has no mention of the slum area. That is why the map is a bad example. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. When these children comes to know about the ships, about love, about the sun, these children, they begins to have longing for these things. They begins to desire to be loved. And when they try to access these things, they cannot access. And therefore, they are tempted to steal or commit crimes. The poet has a cynical view about these donations that is made by the rich people to the school. He says that these donations that were given by the rich people to the school are not given to infuse hope, but rather to force the children to commit crimes and thus be branded as criminals or thieves. For lives that slightly turn in their cram holes from fog to endless night. Means these children, they live in these cramped holes. From fog to endless night here means these children, they live in this fog, in darkness. And these problems that they are facing, it is endless. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass like bottle beads on stones. On the slag heap here refers to the pile of waste. And just like this waste, these children are also compared to the slag heap. And these children living here, due to malnutrition, due to lack of food, they are so thin and their bones can be seen through their skin. And these children also wear spectacles that is made of steel with the glass broken. All of the time and space are fog slum. Means these children from their birth till their death, they live and spend their time in this slum. And it also means these children or these people in this slum, they cannot come out from this slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Here the poet is angry and says that let this map be replaced with the map of the slums. And when the educated class see this map, only will then they realize how big a problem this disaster is. The literary device that is used in the third stanza is the metaphor. Their homes are very small, like holes. Then there is also the use of simile. They repaired spectacles. Then there is also the use of alliteration, use of F sound. The fourth stanza says, unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs, break open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open, history dares whose language is the sun. The poet in this stanza says that all is not lost. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. The poet says that this map that is hanging on the wall in the classroom can be a reality for these children if the governor, inspector, and visitor act and do something. These children can be brought out of their catacombs or graveyards that has been shutting their lives. Break open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. The poet wants the administrators and public to break the barriers and shackles that has been dividing the society. He wants the social injustice and class inequalities to be removed. He wants that the children should be able to enjoy the green fields and run free on the golden sands. He wants freedom for these children. He wants that the children should get education from the white pages of the books and the green nature. We know that nature is the best teacher and one can learn so many things from it as it is always open. The poet ends the poem in a positive note. History theirs whose language is the sun. Language is the sun here means education or knowledge. We know that people who strive for knowledge or education are the ones who create history. Just like the sun that burns itself to give us light, the educated people also burns themselves in acquiring knowledge, and therefore they inspire others and create a destiny of their own. The poet wants that these children should be given the opportunity to create a history of their own. The literary device that is used in the fourth stanza is the metaphor. Books and nature are expressed in forms of white and green leaves. Then there is also the use of anaphora, use of repeated words in 2 consecutive lines, run azure and run naked. I hope you have understood the explanation of the poem. If you find difficulty in understanding any stanza of the poem or any words, you can ask me in the comment section. I will try to help you out. Till then, thanks for watching. We shall meet in the next video.